Well, hey everybody, hey. It is Thursday, and I know I'm not usually on Thursday nights, not at all, but I am here tonight, and just grateful to have you joining me tonight. And if you're joining me wherever you may be joining from, please do me a favor and share this with someone so someone else can hear it tonight. And let me make sure, I want to make sure that I'm streaming where I need to be streaming at, I guess. And let's see. I think I am. All right. So I'm all the places I need to be for right now. And so do me a favor tonight. Do this for me. All right. Like and share and do that for me tonight. I want to make sure. I'm going to talk about something tonight that I've been looking to talk about for a couple of weeks, and so I'm doing it tonight. I'm also doing it as a podcast and then live. So those that you know that may be in ministry tonight or in ministry, maybe even some pastors, please do me a favor and share this with them as we want to share some important information. I believe that will be a blessing to those. And there's some that will watch it on demand. And so they'll do that. I know there may be many that may be in service. But I want to talk tonight about whether uh, a minister may should ministers do ministry contracts. That's been a hot topic recently. I talked with a couple of people, and there are different views on it. Whether a minister should do that, whether they should have do ministry contracts or whatever. And so tonight, I just want to, talk about that and deal with it because I think it's important for us to have a conversation about that particular issue because there are a lot of people that do contracts, they do ministry contracts, they do ministry agreements, whatever you may want to call it, they do it. And sometimes it's with the big name preachers or those that were maybe out more, or and also with those that may be coming up into the forefront, into the scene, on the scene. And so everyone has these ministry agreements or ministry specifications or whatever you want to call it. They have that. And I have to tell you, sort of give you some of you that will watch this, and some of you that already know, I've been in ministry. This year makes 47 years in ministry. I started when I was 16, and now I am 62. This year, if the Lord's will, I'll be 63. But I started early in ministry. So, and I've been pastoring for the last 27 years, but I was full time before I started pastoring the church. I was in ministry and traveling all over the country as a full time evangelist. That means traveling everywhere in the state, out of the state, in the country, out of the country. I think I preached in every when it comes to ministering in the 50 states. I think I preached in all of them, maybe but one or maybe two. But over that course of time, I ministered in every state, uh, maybe about 40 some, 48, I'm sure, states, even into Hawaii, into Canada, and out of the country in different places. So it has been since I was 16 that I did this. And when I turned 18, now it was definitely full time and traveling all over the country and everywhere. So that has been such a journey for me. But now, what I want to say tonight is in that time, um, me personally, I have never done a contract. I did because the people kept asking me where they wanted me to come preach. They wanted me to give them an amount, so I did give an amount for uh, to do ministry. I think from Sunday through Friday they asked, and so I gave them an amount. It wasn't a high amount, but I gave them an amount, and they actually did it. And we'll talk about that more as we get into this. But I personally have never asked for a contract. I personally never uh, did a contract when I went to minister. Now, that is not to say that those that do ministry contracts are off. That's not to say that that something's wrong with that. That's not to say that something is not together about that if they do a contract. Um, and I'll get into why I believe personally that sometimes they do it, and sometimes personally I know they should do it. And that's not to say everyone should do it, but sometimes you have to do it. And I'll get into that because there's two sides to this whole thing when it comes to ministry contracts and those things that you're looking at. So again, I have never personally done a contract, even when I was the president of evangelism for the Church of God in Christ, the international president. I never did a contract. I just never did. I never. That was not how I was brought up. I would probably do one now, but I didn't do it at the time. And so I have just never done one and done it that way. So what I want to say to you is, as we are looking at this, I want to say that many people will criticize people that are doing contracts, and they will criticize them and say, I don't think you should, put a price tag on ministry. And we'll talk about that in a minute, because I think it's important for us to understand that some things we deal with, look on the outside looking in, but we don't deal with it from an area of knowledge to understand what it is that and why people do what they do, and why it's almost something that everyone has went to. There are contracts in everything, and I know someone will say, well, it shouldn't be in ministry, but when you went to purchase your house, when you signed the line to get that mortgage, that was a contract. When you went to buy that car, unless you paid cash for it, if you sign your name on the dotted line and you have to pay every month, that is a contract. Whatever you did, it was a contract. Now, is that to say that that's equal to ministry? I'm not saying that. I'm just saying everything today goes by contracts, because people, when you lock into a contract, that means you're locked in. But let me share with you tonight the pros and cons of the why you should and maybe why not. And I'm not going to be long with this, but I want to share with the pros and cons of it, of dealing with contract. We have to understand that when you go to minister and people invite you to minister, I hate to tell you this, I hate to make you to get this, but everyone is not integral. Everyone doesn't have and operate in integrity. There's some people, they just don't. Uh, there's some people don't operate in integrity. They don't do things the way they should do. They don't take care of business. They do not do the things that need to be done. And so when they don't do those things, you're in a position that you're dealing with someone that has no integrity when it comes not only to ministry to you, but not only comes to the things that they're dealing with. So integrity is very important if you're going to be dealing with a lot of these things. And a lot of people don't have integrity. And then another thing, sometimes you may go to minister to a place that the pastor has never been an evangelist, especially, and he's only been a pastor. And so when you go to preach there, sometimes they may not understand the things that it takes to bring an evangelist in, or someone that they bring in. So they may not understand that. And so you got to deal with those things. And that has happened, I don't know how many times. A person that has never done that will feel comfortable with you being there a week and turn around and giving you $200 or $300, and you ministered every night. And you've been there Sunday morning through Friday night. And I hope there's no one who does that these days, but there are people that actually do that. And so we have to understand that this is you're dealing with people sometimes that just don't have no integrity. And I hate to say that, but it is true. And I'm going to share with you some true stories tonight. I'm not talking about something I made up. I'm talking about something that's true, that were the reason I would say some people may need to do contracts. Now, as I stand here talking to you, sit here talking to you, I've got a contract in my hand, and I've done contracts for the Anointed Pace Sisters and for my wife, and I've done contracts for for my bishop that would bring people in. I was the one that constructed or went with the contract and those things, and so I have done contracts. So I have been the ones that went through the process of dealing with the persons that were dealing with contracts. All right. So now I've got a contract in my hand, and I wouldn't dare tell you who this contract is, but this is not really a contract. It's just something that they want. So what they ask on this is for the church address, the pastor's name, the service date, the administrator or the person there to be in contact with, their phone and their email address. That's normal. That's not anything out the way. Then they give their airline preference, what they would like to fly on. Everyone does not like to fly on different airlines. Some people like Delta or United or whoever it is, American Airlines, whatever airlines they like to fly. So they have a preference, and nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with having a preference on what you would like to fly. If they're on the train, they give what the train preference is. Then they give the hotel preference. They tell what their preference is for the hotel, the name, the address, and they ask you to send back, when you send back the agreement or the contract, they ask you to send back to them the hotel name, the address, and the confirmation number. All right. And I'm gonna get into that a little bit more, then you understand why sometimes people have to do this. They have you to give them the driver's name, the contact person that be picking them up at the airport, their cell number, what vehicle they'll be driving, or all of that. And then when it comes to ministering, if you're going to give them something to drink, sometimes they'll put down what they like. Everyone don't drink water. Some people like it cold. Some people like it lukewarm. Some people like a vitamin water or different things that they drink while they're ministering. And then they like to know sometimes who they should be addressing when they come to minister. Who should they give respect to? And nothing wrong with any of that. All right. And then they want to know if you want them to take the offering. I'll get into that. If you want them to take the offering, if you don't, then sometimes they give. They may ask a person to send a certain amount of money up front, and then when they get there, give them the other part of it. Some probably even ask for it all at one time. I don't know, but those are things that they do. They ask for the honorarium. They want to know what the honorarium is going to be, and some of them go up more in detail about that. This particular contract and agreement didn't have that. It just talks about. Matter of fact, it didn't even give anything on it that you would an amount. And so sometimes that's what happens. People don't give amounts. They don't tell what their amount may be. All right. So, but now here's the pros and the cons. You just see me go through an agreement and through something. Let me give you some real stories in my travel as an evangelist, traveling the country, and without a contract. Did not do a contract. But let me give you the real. I'm not talking about fake. I'm talking about the real story of what happened to me. All right. So I was invited to Detroit, Michigan to preach. And person invited me. I met them in someone else's revival in Miami, Florida. So they were pastoring in Detroit. So they invited me to come. So we had just left Detroit for the UNAC convention. So this has been many, many years ago. And we were at this nice hotel downtown. And so here's the thing that happened. So when I they got me the ticket, I flew all the way to Detroit. All right. When I got to Detroit, anyone that knows Detroit knows that the airport is not close to downtown at all. It's not close. It's not like you can just jump somewhere and you be downtown. It's a little drive. And so when I called to find out who was picking me up, they said, well, get the shuttle into the city and come into this particular hotel. And so I got there, nice hotel, 5 star. So that's where I'm thinking I'm staying at. Well, so finally, I waited for about 30 minutes, even after I got there. Somebody came and picked me up. I'm thinking we get ready to check in this hotel. They get me in the car and we drive to another hotel. Now, let me help you out just in case you didn't know. They drove me to a hotel that was one of those hotels that the doors swing open all night long, if you know what I mean. So I was in this hotel and it had a water bed or whatever, and the doors swinging open all night long because it's one of those hotels, come in, do what you do, and get out. And so they put me in that hotel for that week. Now watch this because I need you to get this. Not only did they put me in that hotel for that week, but every morning, did you hear what I said? Every morning, they would call me from the office and said, "Sir, are you coming down to pay for your room today?" So every morning I had to call the pastor and say to him, they keep calling me about this room. And he said, "Yeah, I just got up. I'm on my way down there to pay it." Are y'all listening at me? So that's what they did that all week. I'm telling you. Then he told me, he said, "I just had revival last week and Twinkie Clark was here." And of course, that's Detroit. And the place was packed out. I said, "All right." So we go to church that night and we get to the church and it's in a area that's sort of one of those sort of rundown type of areas. And so I'm like, okay, okay. And so we go into church and the church seated maybe about 25 people. But he told me, "Oh man, we were packed in the last week." And come to find out that, as I said to you earlier, some people don't deal with integrity. Twinkie Clark hadn't even been there. But I'm an evangelist. So that's what I had to go through. And so when you hear people saying, "Well, I need to know this information," I'm telling you what happened to me. That's a true story. Let me give you another one. I was invited to California, out in California. And the pastor invited me because he knew my uncle from years ago. And then not only did he know my uncle, but he had came to preach at my brother-in-law's church. And so he said, "I would love to get you to come to California." So we booked the date. He sent for me. All this is without a contract. That's what I said. Sometimes you need contracts. So I went to California. Now, understand, I live in Atlanta, y'all. California is not around the corner. You don't drive to California. Well, you can, but that's over 3,000 and some miles away. That's a 4.5 hour flight. So I flew to California. They said to me, "We're going to put you at a certain hotel," and gave me the confirmation number and told me that it had been paid already. They picked me up at the airport. So I went there and they took me to the hotel. I'm telling y'all the truth. Took me to the hotel. I got to the desk, 3,000 miles away. And when I get to the desk, they said, "May I help you?" I said, "Yeah, you have reservations for Dennis Martin." And the lady looked and she said, "Well, we got somebody put your name on here, but it hadn't been paid for. There's no payment on this." And the person that was with me or that brought me from the airport, they didn't have anything, so they couldn't pay for it. So here I am, 3,000 miles away from home, probably about to be homeless or whatever you want to call it, because I didn't have nowhere to stay. So they put me in the car and took me to, are y'all ready for this? They took me to the Motel 6. I've stayed at the Motel 6 before. I'm not saying anything wrong with that, but that's where they took me. And the same thing that happened at the other place. Now they come every day and basically pay the rent daily for the room. All right. So then on top of that, the pastor that I had never been to his church before, 3,000 miles away from home. I preach for him Sunday evening. He's there Sunday evening. But when he's there Sunday evening, he says, I'm gonna leave you here. I got to go. I'm going to run a revival. I've never preached for him before. He leaves me there at his church. His people didn't know who I was, they never met me. He leaves me there and he goes run a revival for the whole week. Are y'all listening to me? And so think about it. So I'm at a church 3,000 miles away. Thank God that had been there several times and preached for Bishop Reams. And so I thank God for Son of Hope. But I'm just telling you what happened to me. All right. That's why sometimes people need contracts. I know we fight it. People fight and say, yeah, you just do it for free. No, because some people don't have no integrity. I went to preach for a church, and this wasn't out of town. This was in town. I went to preach for a church as an evangelist, preached there. I think I started Sunday night or whatever, and preached there all week. And let me tell you what they did, since y'all don't believe me. At the end of the week, I did not get a check. I did not get money. Are y'all ready for this? I know y'all ain't gonna believe it, but I'm gonna share it with you anyway. They gave me a trophy. Okay. See, y'all ain't even. That's why when y'all be talking all this, when people, not you all, but when people be talking all this foolishness and some of these, I have nothing against these young evangelists and stuff, but I just, I just sort of laugh because we took the blows for some of the stuff y'all wouldn't have to go through because y'all wouldn't be able to take it. So they gave me a trophy. And last time I checked, unless I know different, trophies don't pay bills. Trophies don't pay bills. And I had little kids and stuff, and I walked away with a trophy. Oh my God. I know y'all probably like, are you kidding me? I'm telling y'all the God's truth. I'm telling y'all the pros. That's why that's why you need them. Then I went to preach in Buffalo, New York. Preacher invited me. I knew him. He invited me and said, I'm inviting you up. And so he said, I'm gonna take care of everything. This is why they ask the church, pay for my ticket. Don't give me no one-way ticket, pay for a round trip ticket. So if I get stuck, at least I can get back home. That's why they do that. I'm sorry, y'all. I mean, I'm just telling y'all the God truth. So during that time, I had a friend of mine that worked in the travel, was a travel agent. And so they spotted me a ticket to Buffalo. Spotted me a ticket to Buffalo. Okay. And I flew to Buffalo knowing that the pastor said, we're going to pay for the ticket. We're going to take care of you. Gotcha. All right. So I get there. They put me in a hotel. And so I'm like, okay, I'm cool. We cool. So I get there. We're in the hotel. And first night I'm waiting for them to pick me up. They said we'll be there about 7:30. I'm dressed and ready. They did not come pick me up until almost 10 o'clock. And he said, man, we just had a revival last week and it was jam-packed. And they were in this like theater auditorium. So when we got to church, and I walked in and we went through the front. And I walked in, there was about maybe 25 people in the auditorium that seated maybe 1,000 or more. But me, with integrity, went on and preached like the house was full every night. They gave me a check. Gave me a check. and gave me a check for the airlines. And let me tell you, it took me months to get that money because that check for the airlines, I had to end up almost got the person in trouble, but I went on and paid it so they wouldn't have to deal with going through with their job. But I had to I had to almost track them down. That check is still bouncing. And that's been years ago. It's still bouncing. It's bouncing. It was bouncing so high the bank couldn't even catch it. It's still bouncing. That check bounced, so it bounced, and even what they gave me. So we were in a national meeting in Philadelphia, and we were at one of the hotel for the meeting, and I was way at the top, and I spotted him way down at the bottom, and I got down there so fast. I don't know how I got down there that fast, and I walked up on behind him, and when I walked up behind him, he said, "I said, where is my money? I don't want to hear it." And he said, "Oh, I got it." And he had dropped so many names of what all they had going on and who he was and who he was kin to. But I'm just here to tell you, see, a lot of things, when people go to talking this stuff, that's why I don't let people fool with me. I don't take a foolishness off anybody, because you may not put me down as one of your best preachers. I don't care. I may not even be on your list. It doesn't even matter. The things that I've experienced early on in ministry and to bring it to where it is now, I could be a pace setter or a forerunner for some of you that are enjoying some of the benefits you enjoying now by the stuff we've been through or the stuff I've been through. That's why I don't pay no attention to you all that be talking that foolishness. Well, who is Martin? This who Martin is. And I could tell you, um, I've had people to take my money in the back room and come out. I knew what I raised. And they came out and gave me something totally different. And then told me what I raised, that was not what I raised because a lot of people have put their tithe in it. So they separated the tithe. So I'm telling you all, I'm not telling y'all something that's crazy. I'm telling you what has happened to me. That's why the pros of it, sometimes you need contracts. I went to minister in Texas. I won't tell you who it was when Daddy tell you who it was. I ministered, I was evangelist again, no contracts. I preached on I preached Sunday morning. Follow me. I preached Sunday morning, Sunday night, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. All right. So here we go. The pastor said to me, I need you we're going to raise you a special offering. I think it was on Wednesday or Thursday, whatever. Then Friday, I need you to, this is in the Dallas area. And then it said, Friday, I need you to raise me an offering. I said, okay, I'm cool with that. So, for those of you that don't know, I've been trained well. I know how to raise money. My uncle taught me well. He taught me how to do this. So I'm good. So I raised money all week from Sunday morning to Friday night. So when they get ready to give me the money, think of it. I want you to listen at this surprise that I got Friday night. Are y'all waiting on this? I hope y'all getting some of this. Y'all need to share this with somebody. Let me give you the surprise that I got on Friday night. They gave me my money, and so when they gave me my money, it's not about money. I've never really been about it, but I do want my what I do. As the late Bishop Ream said to me when she sit me down at her kitchen table, she said, when you go somewhere, she said, and preach, if people need to know if you raise 20 cents, you want your dime. That's what she said. I said, all right. And she said, but you don't argue with people. You're just too busy to go back the next time. That's what she said. So I said, okay. But now here's the thing. That Friday night, pastor says, here's the money. So I looked at it and I didn't say anything. He said, we split it 3 ways. So you can imagine the shock I was in when he said we split it 3 ways. I'm like, okay, here's what happened. He said the church gets a part, you get a part, and I get a part. Okay. Evidently, y'all don't hear what I just said. He said, you get a part, the church gets a part, and I get a part. So that's why we do in 3 ways. Mind you, I just took my time and raised him off on that Friday night. That didn't matter. He split it 3 ways. But had I had a contract, I would have knew that ahead of time. But because I didn't, they sprung it on me at the last minute. And how many of you would love to go somewhere and somebody springs some on you like that at the last minute? You wouldn't want to go to your job and they tell you, "Oh, we sorry, we got to split it 3 ways today." You wouldn't do that. You wouldn't do it. I'm just saying. Come on, y'all. And so when people say a lot of stuff and say crazy stuff, I really don't pay them a lot of attention because as someone said, I have paid my dues and I'm not looking to go that route anymore. I paid them and I paid them with at the expense of sometimes family, my children when they were small. So I've been down that road. Let me give you one more scenario, and then I'll get to the cons of this contract thing. I'm just dealing with why sometimes people have to have contracts. They didn't pick me up. They didn't have the hotel ready. Da da da. So I'm preaching. Someone called me. I was scheduled to do this revival in Ohio. Someone called me and said, "I heard you going to Ohio." I said, "Yeah." They said, "You need to call and cancel them." But to show you what type of person I am, they said they ain't got nobody up there, and you man, you don't want to do that. But they had already purchased tickets, so I said, okay, I'll go. So I went, and just what the person told me was true. It was a small church or whatever, but I'm a person of integrity. I try to keep my word. At least that's what I try to do. So I went there and I preached. They picked me up. I was at this is during the time I was at Powerhouse. So I wasn't pastoring. So I left our Sunday morning service, went to the airport, got there that evening. Pastor picked me up. He said to me on the way from the airport, "You can stay with me and my wife." And I said to him, "Well, Pastor, I don't usually stay with people's homes and stuff." So he said, "Okay." So he put me in the hotel. Okay, fine, we good. So I preached Sunday night, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Raise offerings every night, whatever. So when we get to the back, before I get to that, so every night they took, well, the Sunday night we went to the restaurant to eat. The other night, we didn't go to the restaurant to eat. The NBA playoffs was on. The Chicago Bulls were playing the Portland Trailblazers, Michael Jordan. So I wanted to see the game. So I was looking at the finals. That was the finals. I went to watch that. So he said, "Well, what you want to eat?" I said, take me by Burger King or whatever. So that's what I did. All right. So Friday night when we come to do the offering, they brought me in the back and gave me the money. So I looked at it. Then he gave me the breakdown sheet. Here's what the breakdown was, y'all. Are y'all ready? The breakdown was they had taken everything off the top. Everything off the top. What do you mean off the top? They took security off the top. All right, I can deal with that. They took the gas off the top. So I asked, "Well, what gas?" Because I didn't drive. They took the gas that he put in his car to pick me up at the airport and to take me to the hotel, bring me from get me from the hotel, take me to church, and then bring me back home. So that came off the top. All the gas for the week. All the places where I went to eat, which was Burger King. So during that time, you talking about $5 or $6 a night or whatever. All that came off the top, right? So all this comes off the top, and then they give me the offering. Then they got upset with me because I asked about it. Got attitude with me and told me I wasn't something. And and I'm looking at him like, really? Are you kidding me? So that's why I said earlier, most pastors that's never been in on the field, never been an evangelist, never experienced this, they don't have a clue because they thinking, sometimes they pushing on the evangelists that the evangelists don't have no integrity. Some of them don't. But I'm here to tell you there's some pastors and the ones that invite you in have no integrity. They don't do things right. And these are things, I'm not giving you no evangelistic fairy tale lies. This is stuff that happens showing up to me. Happen. I mean, and I'm like, really? Now I preach places that I never even, had to do contracts or whatever. But, that's far and in between. So that was the pros of it. Now let's deal with the cons of contracts. Because some contracts, when you look at them, they are um, they contracts. Some contracts are really uh, I don't know what you want to call them, but they over uh, they're a little bit too much. Let me put it that way. Some contracts are a little bit too much. And let me say this: if you don't have a name already or whatever, some of this stuff that you asking for that you copy from somebody else is just unbelievable. And some of it is it. So here's the cons. Um, One of the cons of somebody getting all their money up front is they got their money. It's like somebody coming to your yard and you pay them all up front, and then you can't find them because they done skip town with your money. Well, they got all the money. So if you had it where you don't get this money until you complete the work, well, the con of it is on the contract part of the person that's asking for it, if they've got all their money already, they may not give their all when they get to the venue, or they may not even show up because they figure they ain't gonna sue me. So sometimes that's a con of it because they got their money, so they may not they're not gonna give their all. In other words, sometimes when a person has got their money, they come in with this attitude: I've been paid already. I got my check in my pocket, so I'm gonna give minimum of what I'm gonna do as far as ministry. I could give them a full course meal, but I'm gonna give them a sandwich because I got my money already. Got my money, got my return plane ticket, and got my everything's already taken care of. So I'm not giving them everything that I need to give them because I got it already. And then so the people that suffer in that situation is the church or whatever the venue may be. They suffer because they're looking for you to minister and you coming in there shucking and jiving because you got your money already. So you're not really doing anything. All right. So that's one of the cons of it. Um, Another con of it is sometimes they've asked for certain things in the contract as far as what they've asked for. And I know, people ask for stuff like, fruit baskets and all kind of stuff, whatever. All right. But sometimes there's some that come and really do what they say they're gonna do. But sometimes there's some that raise more money than what they ask for as an honorarium. Let's say they ask for $3,000 and the Lord bless and they raise 10,000. Well, now they want to make an adjustment to the agreement on the spot and say, I need more money. But your agreement says $3,000. Now, that's left up to the discretion of the pastor whether he wants to do that or not. But I'm just telling you. But that is the way people do stuff. And you got some people that don't have no integrity. They just don't. I'm sorry. I got to keep saying that. Some of them don't. I'm talking about on both sides. Some of them just don't have no integrity. So they don't do that. And then another con of giving people all their money, whether you send it to them and then they come later and get and you give them the other half when they get there, whatever. Sometimes they're not looking out for the church, and they halfway raise an offering. Halfway. What do you mean halfway? They don't put no effort into raising an offering. No effort into it at all. I know of a story. This is not hearsay. I know because I was told by the person. Never tell you who it is, but a big preacher was invited to the church. First time they came with no contract, but they went to a mega church. They still got compensated real good. But the next time they came, they wanted to they wanted a certain amount of money, and it was up in the thousands. We not Let me just say past 60,000. All right, and they consented to give them that, so they had their money already guaranteed. But guess what they did? They preached forever, and then when they raised the offering, asked the people to give like $5. So all the money that the church had put out, they didn't recoup any of that back because the person operated with no integrity. None. And I need y'all to understand that I'm not against contracts. I'm not against, but there's pros and cons to it. But I'm just telling you, I just there are things that we have to deal with when we talk about these things. You got to have a clear understanding of what you're getting, what they're asking for, what they want you to do, what they don't want you to do. There's some places you go, people don't want you to stand people up in the line. They don't want you. There's a whole bunch of stuff. I could go through a whole list of stuff that I've been told not to do. We don't have no money lines in here. This ain't no cheese give out. So don't be having no lines here. You just have to ask. One place, the preacher, you got to be out at a certain time. You got to be out at, if church started at 8, they want you out by 9:30 or 10. Or they don't want you, don't touch nobody. I mean, I've been through the whole scenario. Been through anything you can imagine. I've been through it, starting again at 16. All right. Starting preaching at 16, started full-time travel at 18, and now 62. I can tell you some stories like I've told you today to be like, you got to be kidding me. No, ma'am. No, sir. So there's pros and there's cons to this. And you got to understand that. And you got to know, you got to see who you're dealing with, who has integrity when they're dealing with business and stuff, and who don't. I was invited, one preacher wanted me to come to a church, and I didn't go. And the reason I didn't go is because he didn't ask me how many souls I could win or how many people he thought would get saved. He asked me a question that is always a killer for me. And that killer question was, can you raise money? I knew if I went, I would put myself in a position that the only thing they wanted me to do was raise money. They ain't caring about no souls. They just wanted me to raise money. So I didn't take the invitation. I didn't go. I didn't go. Okay. And I've been on here long enough, y'all. I could give some more cons, and maybe I may do a second part to this. because there's a lot of things about this contract situation that I think we need to look at and look at it why it's good, and then on another occasion why it's not good. If you're gonna, if you go to a church and they pay for your round trip ticket, they pay for your hotel, they fed you every day, they've done all that stuff, then the least you could do, since you got all that taken care of, is try to put something toward what they put out. Since they already gave you all your money, at least raise an offering and try to make it be a good offering. Because here's another thing. You need to make sure it's a good offering, because here's the thing that y'all don't understand, and sometimes people don't see this and they think, oh man, they're raising a lot of money, let me help you out. I just need to help y'all. Even if you an evangelist or whatever, let me help you out. How you gonna help me out? I'm gonna help you. Well, how you gonna do it? I'm gonna help you right now. Just cause you see 30 people up in the line with an envelope for $100, don't mean that 30 people got $100 in the envelope. Especially if there's a prophecy connected to it. Sometimes what's in the envelope is $1, $5, $10, and they seal it up just so they can get their prophecy. I'm helping somebody tonight. I'm helping you. And so when you get back in there and count the money, you tell me, man, they raised so much money tonight. It was crazy. No, they didn't. You may have had 10 people up there with that, but you ain't have you didn't have no 30 people up there with that. I'm just telling you what I know. I ain't talking about what I heard. I used to be the treasurer when I traveled with my uncle. I counted the money. I went in the back and counted it with the people at the church. So I know what was there and what was not there. I'm not talking about what I heard. I'm talking about what I know. And then another thing you have to consider, if you got all your money up front and they taking care of everything, you thought, if you don't have the cash, and thank God we almost in digital, just digital giving. But when in days of checks, most of the times, and they changed it over the years, they would give you sometimes the cash, and the church would keep the checks if they were doing it that way. But you already got your money. You going on to the next place, and then a week later, a week and a half, while you asking everyone to give $1,000, I need y'all to, God says, sow this seed of $1,000, and people wrote you that check. That check bounced all the way over the church a couple of times. And then the church has got to try to get their money. The church got to try to get them checks. And so now they can't get the checks. They can't get the money, but you got your cash and you dancing on down to the bank. So when churches start doing, they start saying, we will give you cash, but we will hold the checks. Once the checks clear, we will send you the rest of your money. Now, I have to tell you, most evangelists didn't like that. They were like, I need my money. But you weren't looking out for the church. The church had these expenses or these checks that had bounced. And sometimes it wasn't the members' checks, it was visitors' checks that came to see you preach and hear you preach. And you left with the money, but they were left with the bounced checks and trying to recoup the checks. And some of them couldn't recoup that money. So they had to change the way they did things. But what I'm saying, see, there's another con to that. You got it where people don't understand that. I try when I raise the offering, I try to give an offering. If they put me up to raise the offering, I try to give. I was always taught, you give if you raise the money. Now, another con, with these contracts, sometimes people come in, they know they got their money coming. Maybe they had their check in their pocketbook, whatever. When they get up to raise money, you can't get up talking about, I see the Lord is saying that there are 5 people gonna give $1,000 tonight. I'm waiting on the 5. No, you are not. You're not waiting on 5. you definitely not waiting on 5. No, I'm sorry. You're not waiting on 5. You waiting on 4 because the first person that should be given $1,000 is you. You want to walk away with half of the money, but you ain't gave an offering all week long. I'm sorry. I went to a church in Virginia. The pastor, Apostle Sellers, he's deceased now. His son is Bishop Sellers, Church of God in Christ, and I preached for him a whole week. I gave offerings every night, and at the end of the week, he said, "Here's your money." I said, "My money." He said, "Oh yeah." He said, "You blessed us," and he gave me my money plus all the offerings I gave. He gave it back to me. That's the first time I ever seen that. I ain't never seen that done. Nobody never give me my money. But he knew I was giving offerings every night. He knew I was giving offerings every night. So that's what I'm saying to y'all. And so I wanted to share this tonight. It's been in my spirit to share this because I want to help somebody out and want to help some of those of you that's wonderful and you whatever you are. And you think people like me, or Martin ain't got no voice. Martin don't have to have a voice. Martin got some experience. And Martin can help some of you out. That's what he can do. Because where some of the things that people are doing, I've done. The only difference in me doing it is I didn't have social media to broadcast it. I didn't have nobody with an iPhone or whatever broadcasting. Didn't have it. But what you all are doing, we've done. When I look at people like Bishop White, Mr. Clean, he's a forerunner. He's done it. When I look at other people, no matter what you think about him, I look at people like Bishop Carlton Pearson, he's done it. My late uncle, they've done it. People that have done it. I remember the first time I got $1,000 for preaching one day, one service. I was at the Temple of Deliverance at Bishop G. Passon Church. The first time I preached for him back in I think it was in 1990. That was the first time I reconnected with him. And I preached, I preached that Sunday morning and I preached that Sunday night, and he gave me $1,000 cash. Okay. The next time, and because I preached for him, many doors swung open for me all over the country. I went to a church in New York and they gave me so much money. I thought they were playing a trick, or I thought they were pranking me because they gave me so much money the first day I got there, and then they gave me money to eat, and then they turned around and gave me took an offering for me Wednesday night, gave me all that, then took one for me Friday night. I was like, I thought I was being pranked. I really did. I was like, oh my God. The next time I preached and got money as an evangelist without a contract was at Temple of Deliverance. I'm talking about, I mean, I got money all the time, but I'm just different shots. Bishop Patterson out of town, he called me and preached on the Sunday morning. I preached on the Sunday morning. And when he had to go out of town, he was the presiding bishop at the time. He left me for his service that Sunday in the big church, the one that he built. I preached that Sunday morning, left, and I'd have to preach no more that day. He said, you can raise offering or you don't have to raise offering. I didn't, while I was preaching, the spirit dropped in the building and people start running money to the altar. It's on YouTube. It's actually on YouTube. People start running money to the altar. And they told me how much money I raised that morning. Just that, and then I took after offering. They told me thousands of dollars, over 10, over 12, on up. I won't tell you what it was. And Bishop Patterson, he left me. I got $5,000 that morning for preaching. That's what he gave me, $5,000. Then I went to run a revival for him. I was there for a week, I think Sunday through Friday, and he gave me the money. He gave me my money again. He gave me my money Friday before we went to church. He gave it to me early up in the day, and then he looked at me and said, "Is that enough?" He said, "Is that enough?" I said, "Oh, by all means, Bishop." I said, "Oh, it's more than enough." And so, other places that I went to minister, and without contracts. I'm the first assistant presiding bishop, Bishop Macklin. First time I went to preach for him, um, I preached for him. I preached Sunday morning, 8, 11, and then the Sunday evening, I was supposed to be there just to Wednesday night. I think I was supposed to be there to Wednesday, Tuesday or Wednesday. Joyce Rogers was supposed to be coming behind me, but she overbooked. So he had me to stay the rest of the week. But he told me Sunday night, after Sunday night, he said, you don't have to raise no more offerings the rest of the week because you met the budget already. You met the budget in one day. So when I hear people talk foolishness, and I say this with all sincerity, that's why I don't let nobody, y'all can't embarrass me and bully me down and make me think that I'm not whatever. It's just not gonna happen. Never will, won't happen. Whether I'm a part of doing something in the national church now or not, y'all, it will never be able to do it because my experience speaks for me. My longevity speaks for me. And I want to be able to help somebody out to let you know that sometimes you need a contract. Sometimes you need to know what's going on. If you don't have a contract, get an understanding of what are we doing, how we doing it, and just get that done. Because unfortunately, on both sides, there are people that don't have no integrity. There are people that just don't have it. And I ain't even gonna lie to you. I wish I'm not gonna play with you on that. There's some folk that just don't have any integrity. Now, I pray and trust that you got some out of this tonight. Do me a favor. You got to do this. You got to share this with somebody. Right before you leave, share right now. Share it with somebody you know is in ministry because it'll help. I'm gonna do some more of these because I want to help somebody out. I'm doing the podcast tonight while I'm doing this because I want to help somebody out because I think it's important for us to understand that there are things we have to do if you want. When I would go preaching and stuff like that, coming back, my wife and kids didn't understand that I've been gone a whole week and come back with nothing to do anything with. They didn't understand that. And I told you somebody gave me a trophy. Trophies don't pay no bills. Or they mess with your money and do all kind of crazy stuff. Oh, some stuff I could tell you that would make you be like, really? Listen, I would never call people's name, but I'm just telling you of the stuff they did and the stuff that probably still goes on today. And I know it goes on today because I hear people telling me about it. They still do the same kind of stuff. And then wonder why people are sending something and you got to take care of this because you got to lock. I'm gonna tell you this last one. I'm gonna be done. You got to lock dates in. You got to lock people in because I've had people to waste my calendar, waste it. Where if I would have had them, one thing about people, if they got to send you the money up front, half of it up front, just like to go to some businesses, you got to pay a deposit and it's non-refundable. If you had to do that, some people would treat you a whole lot different. So I've had people to waste my calendar. What do you mean, Pastor Mom, waste your calendar? I've had people to um, book me and lock a date in that other people were asking me for. And I would turn the other people down because they told me, we want you to come to this place. Let's say New York. And so I'm waiting. And so they supposed to get the ticket. I supposed to be there Saturday. Monday, I hadn't heard anything from them. Tuesday. So I called Wednesday or Thursday asking them about the ticket. And this is what they say to me. Oh, Pastor, I was intending to call you. I'm gonna have to reschedule you. We gonna cancel the meeting and we'll have to do it another time. Well, I missed out on somebody else that wanted me to come. Here again, no integrity, because guess what? They never were going to have you in the first place. They were just stringing you along. All right, I'm gonna say too much in a minute. Let me get out of here. I just need y'all to understand how important and vital this is. And so, again, I pray and trust that you got something from this. I pray that that it is bless you in a good way. Um, you know, just bless you in a good way. Um, Charles, this is why they need to have you teaching on the national level. That's another conversation by itself. We won't even talk about that. We won't even deal with that. We won't deal with that conversation. But either way, so we got to do better, y'all. And so these are the pros and cons. This is why some ministers have these contracts. This is why some don't. But it's up to them. It's their preference, their prerogative, whatever they want to do. I usually don't do them. Now I won't ask for a certain amount. My statement to them is that what we want to bless you, what you be fair. I just need you to be fair. I need you to be honest. I need you to be fair. That's what I need you to be. Honest and what? Fair. And if you do that, you won't have no complaints out of me. So that's that. And if you don't have it, just tell me what you can do. That's even easier. Just say, well, we can guarantee you this amount. I'm good. Let's do that. But guess what? If I know that they guarantee me that amount, and when sometimes you get to church, they give you the check and you ain't even ministered yet. But when I minister and then when I raise the funds, I'm going to try at least to recoup what they've given me so it won't be on the church and they be going through. Because another thing is when I travel, and even today, I don't always go to big churches. I went to those storefront churches sometime and preach. Well, they couldn't afford me, but I would go. In those cases, I may stay uh, at the pastor's house, or I may do that and did those type of things, and then raise the money. I've been places that I've raised the money and didn't take any money, and I needed it, but I left it all there with the church. They gave me a round trip ticket and a hotel. I left every dime at the church and went on about my business and didn't lose anything because the Lord blessed me down the road. So understand that uh there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things to soldiers. God bless you. Yes, there's a lot of things that you have to understand that has happened. And some of us we try to deal in integrity. It ain't never been just about the money, because if it was, my experience alone, and not saying I'm the best preacher, but I think I preach good enough that I could demand top dollar if I was going somewhere to preach. I do believe that. That's 47 years of experience. You pay for that. I'm not a novice. I didn't start preaching yesterday. And I preach for some notable people of notoriety. And I was doing mega churches before y'all were calling them mega churches. So I'm just saying, you know, you got to know these things. And so a lot of people, we don't, you don't have a clue, and people don't sit down and tell you. So I thought I'd sit down and tell you tonight. And this has been on my mind to do for a couple of weeks. And I said, I'm gonna do it tonight. I'm just gonna go and do it. So again, I pray and trust that it has helped you. I pray and trust that it has blessed you. I pray that it's been good for you. Now I don't. I didn't do this for money, but if it's bless you and you want to bless me, I ain't turning no money down. That's for sure. I ain't turning nothing down. If you want to cash out me something and say this was vital, this is good information to me, and I want to cash out you something, you can do that. Yeah, you can do it. I'll take it. I will. And you can you can get it. I won't turn it down at all. I promise you. And so um I'm getting ready to get out of here, y'all. But I just wanted to do something. I'm gonna drop this right here. If you want to do something, you can. Where is it at? There it goes. See my cash app. $ DLMSR. You can send me something you want. I'm not even gonna do. I see 10 of you. No, I'm not even gonna do that. Not even gonna go there. If you want to do something, that's fine. But I certainly have enjoyed sharing with you tonight, and I pray and trust that you've enjoyed receiving tonight and getting this tonight. And I pray and trust that it's blessed you, where you can go back and look at it over and over again, and say, you know what, this is really, it makes sense now. And don't let people make you feel bad because you want to. Uh, people always say about you shouldn't worry about getting no money. You get paid on your job. You don't let them give you a check and see what happens. You have to find out if you save. So don't even play. All right. All right. The Lord bless you and the Lord keep you. I'm getting ready to get out of here. Thank y'all so much. Let me see, can I exit out of here in a way and get out of here. God bless you. Thank you so much. I am excited that I got a chance to do this. This is this has been good. All right, y'all. I'm out. Thank y'all so much. And the Lord bless you. All right, Sister Cunningham. See you Sunday. All right. Let me get out of here, y'all, because I'll keep talking. Let me see. Do I have an exit strategy here? Do this. Don't forget to do this. All right. I'm out. Y'all have a good one. Have a blessed night. Thank you so much for joining.